Words or phrases that describe a person who knows the answer to a problem, but is not believed. I'm trying to find either a word or a phrase that describes a person who knows the answer to a problem or problems but is never believed, even though the person is actually correct. The nearest I can come up with is maybe the story of Cassandra, but that is about knowing the future but never being believed. The word or a phrase may indicate they are simply ignored, but I am more interested in answers indicating the person suffers negative consequences, such as being ridiculed or even persecuted for their correct solution. Maybe think of people such as Galileo. I stumbled across this excellent visualization of people whose ideas were rejected and were treated as pariahs for them, but were later proven to be correct. These are exactly the kind of people I am looking for words or phrases to describe.
I would argue that Cassandra does work here. The name is often used metaphorically, in a variety of fields. For example, achieving a clear, shared vision in an organization is often difficult due to a lack of commitment to the new vision by some individuals in the organization, because it does not match reality as they see it. Those who support the new vision are termed Cassandras able to see what is going to happen, but not believed. Same Wikipedia source, linked above. While Cassandra does have connotations of having to do with the future, any solution to a present problem is, by definition, a future thing. Someone who posits a solution is predicting that their solution will solve the problem. And failure to agree with the solution, that, we stipulate, would turn out to solve the problem, is most likely due to a failure of perception, either the perception that the person offering the solution isn't worth listening to, or that the problem and/or its solution would work out differently than they will.
Not strictly a description of the person, but falling on deaf ears. If a request or advice falls on deaf ears, people ignore it. Warnings that sunbathing can lead to skin cancer have largely fallen on deaf ears in Britain. Link.
Consider a voice in the wilderness. Different sources give slightly different nuance, meaning, you're a voice in the wilderness, or a voice crying in the wilderness, if you're expressing an unpopular opinion or insight. Meaning, you're a voice in the wilderness, or a voice crying in the wilderness, if you're expressing an unpopular opinion or insight. For example, when Galileo stated that the sun was the center of the solar system, he was a voice crying in the wilderness. Most people thought he was crazy or evil, or possibly both.
Also, pearls before swine, which means to show valuable things to people who disregard them. It's pretty negative, but it's usually used in a light-hearted way. In a pub quiz, you might suggest an answer and have it dismissed. You would say pearls before swine, implying that your words are pearls, and the people you are playing with are too obtuse to see it.
Diamond in the rough or rough diamond, TFD. Someone or something whose good qualities are hidden. This film is one of those diamonds in the rough, a wonderful gem that almost no one has noticed. It may be applied to people too. Ahead of one's time, TFD. Figure having ideas or attitudes that are too advanced to be acceptable in the present. Typically, B tilde, think tilde, Sue's grandmother was ahead of her time in wanting to study medicine. One great example would be Nikola Tesla. Here's why. Why was Nikola Tesla the greatest geek who ever lived by oatmeal? Here's a Quora discussion on who was most ahead of their time. Single words useful here are underestimated, MW. To think of someone or something as being lower in ability, influence, or value than that person or thing actually is. Synonyms: underrate, undervalue, sell short. Or, perhaps visionary, MW. Having or showing clear ideas about what should happen or be done in the future. She is known as a visionary leader. But this doesn't necessarily mean that their people didn't believe in them.
If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing.